The first thing I heard was metal, sharp, violent bolt cutters chewing through my chain at midnight. Two men hunched at my gate, wrestling with the links, and behind them stood Karen Mason, her beige blazer stretched tight across her heavy frame, bracelets clinking like warning bells in the dark. "Cut it," she snapped. "I want that gate open before he shows his face." I stepped out of the shadows. "That'd be a mistake," I said. Todd dropped the cutters. Gary froze. Karen didn't move, just glared, like she still owned everything the headlights touched. "You don't scare me, Proudfoot," she hissed. I smiled. "Karen, you really should have asked whose land you're standing on." Karen didn't waste time pretending to be reasonable. The morning after the bolt cutter stunt, she rolled up in her spotless white Lexus, squeezing out of the driver's seat like she was unfolding herself from a too-tight box. Beige blazer, gold jewelry, jaw clenched. She marched straight toward my porch, heels sinking into the dirt she clearly believed was beneath her. "You can't park that rust bucket here," she barked, pointing at my pickup. "Commercial vehicles are prohibited. Consider this your first violation." It wasn't a question or a warning. It was a performance. I set my coffee down. "Ma'am, this is my driveway." She scoffed so hard her bracelets rattled. "Nothing out here is yours. This community has standards." That was Karen. Every sentence a threat, every gesture a claim of ownership. And that's exactly when I dropped the only background I was ever going to give her. I'd inherited this ranch from my grandfather 3 months earlier, moved here to rebuild my life, and learned, thanks to old land records, that Darkwood Estates sat on a 99-year lease my family never sold. Karen didn't know that, not yet. She jabbed a finger at my truck. "I run this neighborhood." I smiled. "Karen, sir, that's about to become a real problem." The first wave came fast. Before the sun even burned off the morning fog, a bright orange violation notice fluttered on my gate. $500 fine for an unapproved agricultural structure. The structure was the gate. My gate. On my land. Karen wasn't subtle. She strutted down the road beside 2 board members, her bracelets clinking, her tight blazer pulling across her shoulders as she pointed at fences, weeds, even the gravel like she was cataloging sins. "That's another violation," she called out when she saw me tightening wire along my fence line. "This is protected green space." I didn't bother arguing. I just picked up my tools and kept working. But then George stopped by, quiet voice low. "Stu, she did this to Dorothy. Fines until she broke. Don't let her get you alone." I didn't plan to. I'd moved here to rebuild my life, not to let a power-drunk HOA queen rewrite it. And behind every petty notice Karen posted, I could see it clearly. She'd already decided I was her next target. 2 days later, I caught her filming me. Not discreetly, full arm extended, phone pointed at my head while I repaired a busted fence post. "Sir," she shouted, puffing across the grass, her heavy steps leaving indents in the soil, "you're destroying common property. I'm documenting this for the sheriff." "This is a pasture fence," I said, "fixing storm damage." "This is a designated green belt." She zoomed the camera in closer like she was catching Bigfoot. "You're trespassing." I didn't bother reminding her I could see the property stakes from where I stood. Instead, I pointed to the open field behind me. "You know this isn't your land, right?" Her nostrils flared so hard it looked painful. "Everything you touch affects this community. I suggest you tread very carefully." I didn't respond. I just walked back to the house, pulled up my security system, and aimed another camera at the trail she'd used. Because working from home meant I saw everything, and now she was crossing onto my land like the boundaries were optional. If she wanted a line to cross, I was going to make it impossible to miss. The harassment turned physical on a Thursday night. My camera pinged. Motion at the gate. I zoomed in. Todd and Gary again. Todd's bulk hunched over the chain, Gary holding a flashlight. And behind them, Karen stood with her arms folded over her chest, silhouette wide in the headlights, expression carved from stone. "Cut it," she hissed. I was already walking. By the time they clipped the first link, I stepped into the beam. "Evening, gentlemen." Todd spun around, shoulders tensing. "We're removing an illegal obstruction." "It's not locked," I said. "You could have just opened it." Gary actually blinked, like the idea had never occurred to him. Todd shoved me hard. "Back off, old man." I didn't move far. He expected fear. He got silence. That enraged him more. He swung. A sloppy telegraphed punch. I dodged and drove a single jab into his solar plexus. Todd collapsed like a folding chair. Gary froze, hands up. Karen shrieked, "Assault! I have it on video." "What you have," I said, "is footage of two men trying to vandalize my gate on my property." But as they scrambled away, gravel flying, one thought hit me. This wasn't about the gate. This was Karen testing how far I'd let her push. And now she knew the answer. At sunrise, a sheriff's cruiser rolled up my drive. Karen's Lexus lurked behind it like a bloated white shark. Deputy Allen stepped out, weariness already in his eyes. "Mr. Proudfoot, we received a complaint you assaulted two men last night." I handed him the USB with the gate footage. "Watch this. It shows everything." He did, and when he walked back to me, his shoulders sagged, not from defeat, but relief. "Yeah," he said. "Their story doesn't survive video. I'm closing the complaint." Behind him, Karen shrieked at her phone, waving her arms, bracelets jangling like alarm bells. She pointed at me repeatedly as if trying to conjure guilt through sheer force of will. That afternoon, the rumors began. Karen told the neighborhood I was a violent ex-con, a land thief, a developer planning to bulldoze their homes, that I'd threatened toddlers, poisoned pets, inspected houses at night. Fear spread fast in a gated community. But fear is gasoline, and Karen was pouring it everywhere. 3 nights later, the real danger arrived. A black pickup parked 100 yards from my fence, engine off, lights out. A big man climbed out, shaved head, tattoos, shoulders too wide for his jacket. He grabbed a red gas can from the bed. My stomach dropped. He headed straight for the barn. I slipped into the darkness, shotgun in hand, heart pounding but steady. Grandpa's training never left me. The man found a loose section of fence wire and started pushing through. "That's far enough," I said. He froze. Moonlight hit his face, hard eyes, scarred cheek, the look of a man who'd burned buildings before. "You're not going to shoot me," he growled. "You're trespassing with a gas can at midnight," I said. "That's arson." He hesitated. I didn't. "Drop it, now." He did. By the time Deputy Allen arrived, the man was on his knees, hands behind his head. His name was Ray Bostwick. His phone showed messages. His truck had $2,000 cash. Ray didn't say much. He didn't need to. We both knew exactly who had sent him, and it meant the quiet part of this war was over. The county hall was packed, standing room only, voices tight with fear, anger, and confusion. People clutched folders of mortgage papers and property maps like life preservers. And right in the front row sat Karen Tilmison, wrapped in a navy blazer that strained across her round shoulders, chin lifted as if she were still queen of something. Miller stepped to the podium, calm as a stone. "Tonight," he said, adjusting the microphone, "we're here to clarify the legal status of Darkwood Estates." Whispers rippled. Someone hissed, "Is it true? Do we not own the roads?" Karen shot to her feet, bracelets clattering. "This is unnecessary fear-mongering. This man," she jabbed a finger at me, "is trying to steal our community through loopholes and intimidation." A chorus of uneasy murmurs followed. Miller clicked the projector remote. A massive map appeared, county seal, official plat lines, dates no one could argue with. "This," he said, pointing, "is the Proudfoot master parcel. And here," he highlighted a red box, "is the exact footprint of Darkwood Estates, land that sits on an expired 99-year lease." The room went silent. A woman in the third row whispered, horrified, "Why didn't the HOA tell us?" Every face turned toward Karen. Her mask cracked, and the real storm began. Miller clicked again. Slide 2 appeared. A certified copy of a 2-year-old warning letter addressed directly to Karen. Gasps. Karen's eyes went wide. "That's taken out of context," she sputtered. "The board was handling it." Slide 3. The HOA Reserve Fund statement. Before, over $60,000. After, $10,000. A $50,000 withdrawal labeled special legal expense. Then the next slide, a bank trace showing the money landing in a consulting firm run by Karen's brother-in-law. That firm dissolved 3 months later. Shouting erupted. "You stole it," one man roared. "My dues, my savings gone," cried another. "You lied to us." Karen's face turned blotchy red. "You people don't understand accounting." Miller raised a hand. There's more. Click. Realtor emails projected 10 feet tall. Karen's exact words displayed for every resident to see. Tell them the HOA owns all land free and clear. I will provide the paperwork. It's a non-issue. Homeowners who had bought within the last year looked gutted. One young husband put his arm around his wife as she silently cried. Then Miller showed the final piece, a time-stamped message thread between Karen and a number registered to none other than Ray Bostwick, 3 nights before the attempted arson. Short, vague, but damning. Karen's chair scraped back. "That is not admissible!" she screamed, but nobody listened to her anymore. The county commissioners walked back in after a short recess, faces hard. Chairman Doyle, broad-shouldered rancher, voice like gravel, spoke first. "Miss Till Mason, you were notified 2 years ago that your community's land lease was expiring. You concealed that fact. You misappropriated funds, and you endangered public safety." Karen shot up. "This is a conspiracy. He," she stabbed a shaking finger toward me, "is trying to destroy my neighborhood." "It isn't your neighborhood," Doyle said flatly. That broke her. She launched into a full meltdown, shouting about corruption, betrayal, declaring herself the only one capable of leading Darkwood. Spit flew. Her bracelets clattered wildly as she waved her arms, the fabric of her blazer straining against her sides. Residents recoiled. The commissioners waited in silence until her voice cracked. Then Doyle read the county's ruling. In 30 days, Darkwood must negotiate legal access with Mr. Proudfoot, or all public utilities across his land will be terminated. This board will not compel a private citizen to subsidize a mismanaged HOA. The gavel hit like a gunshot. Residents turned on Karen instantly, the anger, the betrayal, the fear all erupting at once. She tried to deny everything, but nobody cared. The deputies approached from behind. "Miss Tilmason," one said, "you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit arson, embezzlement, and fraud." Her jaw dropped. Then she screamed. But it didn't matter. Her kingdom was gone. When the deputies led Karen out of the county hall in handcuffs, the entire room went quiet. Not triumphant, not vindictive, just stunned. Years of fear didn't vanish overnight, but you could feel something loosening inside people, like a knot finally unspooled. The next morning, George knocked on my door. "It's over," he said softly. "Really over." It wasn't, not quite. There were meetings, emergency HOA sessions, frantic attempts to understand what came next. Homeowners who had once glared at me now approached with cautious gratitude. Some apologized. Some simply said, "We didn't know." And they genuinely hadn't. Karen had kept them blind on purpose. Within a week, Darkwood residents drafted a petition to remove the entire board. It passed almost unanimously. Another vote dissolved the HOA altogether. No more beige mailbox inspections. No more fines for garden hoses or gnomes or the wrong grass height. For the first time in years, the neighborhood breathed. A small committee, George leading it, came to my porch with a humble proposal. They needed to sell the clubhouse and pool to pay off residual debts and help the victims Karen had harmed. They didn't expect a miracle. They just hoped for fairness. I offered them $50,000. George blinked. "Stu, that's generous." "It's the exact amount she stole from you," I said. "Let's start fixing things." Their shoulders softened. For once, people left my porch smiling. Layer 2. Legal consequences. 220 words. Karen's criminal trial was brutal, but not for me. For her. The prosecution laid it all out. The missing funds, the fraudulent documents, the lies to title companies, the intimidation, the emails, and then the big one, Ray Bostwick. He took the stand in his prison tattoos and monotone voice and told the court exactly what Karen hired him to do. He even described how she'd been real particular about burning my barn because the hay would make it go fast. Karen tried to object from her seat, muttering, shaking her head, whisper screaming to her lawyer. The jury watched every twitch. It didn't help her. When she finally testified, her performance collapsed under cross-examination. She couldn't explain the money. She couldn't explain the lies. And when the prosecutor asked why her phone data aligned with Ray's movements, she lost control, ranting about sabotage and ungrateful neighbors until the judge ordered a recess. The jury deliberated for less than 3 hours. guilty on all counts. The judge did not hold back. 4 years for the arson conspiracy, 18 months for the embezzlement and fraud, mandatory restitution, the full $50,000 stolen plus lifetime coverage for Dorothy's nursing home care. As she was led away, she kept looking back at the gallery like someone would stop this nightmare for her. No one did. Layer 3. Karma twist, plus warm closure, and 255 words. Once I officially owned the clubhouse and pool, I walked through the place alone. Beige walls, heavy iron furniture, rule charts posted everywhere like warnings from a tyrant. No running, no splashing, no unapproved floats. It was a monument to exclusion. So I did what Karen never would have allowed. I opened it, literally. I tore down the iron fence around the pool, ripped out the hedges that hid the place from the road, hauled off the pretentious furniture, and brought in simple chairs, bright umbrellas, and a grill that could feed half the county. Then I put up a wooden sign, Darkwood Community Center, a Proudfoot Ranch, property, public welcome. $3 for a swim day pass, $50 for the summer, free for kids under 5. The clubhouse became a place for birthday parties, reunions, scout meetings, things normal communities enjoy without fear of citations. On the 4th of July, we held the biggest cookout Darkwood had seen in decades. Ranchers mixed with families from town. Kids cannonballed into the pool, music played, fireworks cracked over the water. No fines, no lectures, no clipboard warriors. Margaret stood beside me, paper plate in hand. "Dorothy would have loved this," she said, eyes warm. "She always said the neighborhood needed fewer walls." I nodded. The sunset washed the hills in gold. Dogs ran along the public trail behind the center, tails wagging. People laughed freely. The place felt alive in a way it never had under Karen's rule. George wandered over with 2 cold beers. "Heard Karen's trying to start a prison HOA," he said. I nearly spit out my drink. Of course she is. We toasted, quietly, respectfully, to Dorothy, to my grandfather, to the land, to community. I'd thought justice and peace were opposites. Turns out peace only lasts when justice gets there first. Some people build kingdoms out of rules, fear, and control. Karen built hers on sand. I was just the tide that finally came in.